when Jim Comey was fired
Mhm.
and they were deliberating,
Transvestite.
they were deliberating who to replace him with as the FBI director.
You
right?
got to be a transvestite to work at the FBI. That's Hoover established that protocol, and it's got to be adhered to.
Allegedly.
How did the
Allegedly.
process go to hire the next FBI director? It went something like this.
Huh.
Hey, so imagine I'm Mike Pence.
Transvestite.
Mr. President, with your broad shoulders and your puffing chest, I think the Cheney-Bush syndicate is asking me for you to hire our beloved Robert Mueller to
He
replace
brought him in.
Jim Comey. And the reason being because Robert Mueller worked as the director of the FBI for my beloved Liz Cheney's father and George Bush, so that they can handle you for the rest of your first and last term. Are you okay with that, Mr. President?
Mm-hmm.
What did Donald Trump do?
Said no.
He didn't hire Mueller.
Well, since you're not going to hire him, we still have to provide cover for the previous cover-ups that we were involved in.
That's correct.
And that's why we're going to call Rod Rosenstein, my little buddy, to go ahead and appoint Robert Mueller to be the special counsel to create the Russia narrative. And instead of him being the director of the FBI, we're going to go ahead and have you appoint Chris Christie's attorney, Chris Wray, who happens to be also a partner at King and Spalding in Georgia with our beloved Sally Yates.
Oh, Lord.
You see how this works, folks?
I do. It is an inbred thing.
They're there to protect Mike Pence's role in the illegal spying op through his chief of staff.
Wow.
Well, you know what?
Does it make sense now?
Yes.
It's disgusting, right?
Yeah.
But you think Paul Ryan's going to say that on Fox News?
No, of course
not.
not.
Because it implicates him.
Right.
You think Paul Ryan's going to talk about the January 6th Fedsurrection that his own sergeant at arms was a part of, that later becomes Nancy Pelosi's sergeant at arms? Fuck no. That's why, I'm one of the few people that are calling out all of these scum. Okay, I'm focused more on the Republicans that are scum than I am the Democrats.
They're the ones that keep it going.
Yeah. Republicans are the biggest enemy.
They work together to perpetuate it.
Yeah, uniparty.
But the Republicans are the guardians at the gate that allow the Democrats to do this shit.
They
they're
enable
paid
that.
off, but they're
and then
also,
they're like, oh, look, politically it's them. Let's fundraise off of the rhetoric that we're saying that they're
fundraising. But, I mean, they are the dirtiest of Republicans. So those are the only ones that get elected.
Rhinos.
Yeah, right?
Right, and here's the issue. You know what? We're gonna go here.
Oh, boy.
So we talked about the past. Can we talk a little bit about the transition to the future and how we stop some of this stuff to have a positive impact
That'd be great.
on the next few weeks going into the election? Let's come up with solutions.
Yes,
and some hurdles that are going to come up, I
Okay.
think, based on my analytic perspective.
We love you.
So what about Kevin McCarthy? You think he's just went to sleep and he's nowhere to be seen? What do you think he's doing right now?
I think he's working on something, but
You think
I'm
he's
not
working,
sure.
right? Scheming?
I don't know who he's working for.
Here's what I think he's doing.
Being the new Paul Ryan? What?
Paul Ryan manages the right-wing fundraising mechanism known as Fox, right? Through the application. Right. So Paul Ryan is tight with Kevin McCarthy. Kevin McCarthy still has a major influence over the Congressional Leadership Fund when he was a speaker. Remember, it was Kevin McCarthy, through his decades of being in office, as the #1 fundraiser for Republicans in the House, that helped put in most of the Republicans that are currently members of the House. That's the leverage that he has.
Yeah, a lot.
So if Kevin McCarthy wants to come up to President Trump and say, hey, Donald, I will make sure that all the money that I can leverage through the Congressional Leadership Fund and all my fundraising mechanisms and capability, I'll deploy that to make sure there's a Republican House that won't impeach you and you can stay in power under one condition. You appoint me as the chief of staff so that I can control you like Mike Pence did during your first term.
Oh, yes.
What say you? If you disagree with me, I'm going to allow the Democrats to win. In fact, I'm going to use the money to let the Democrats win.
Exactly.
So that Jamie Raskin on January 3rd can go ahead and do what he's been saying he's going to do.
Yeah.
Call you an insurrectionist and January 6th an insurrection, and you won't even take office on January 20th, even if we don't assassinate you, even if we don't stop you from winning the election, if you do win the election. So
that's right.
Which begs the question, How do we stop that?
Oh, I know exactly how we stop it.
Oh, please.
No, but you tell me first, and I'll
No,
tell you.
you go, lady.
No, you're in the zone. You're in the
no,
zone.
you first.
Don't take out a no-hitter. Pitcher and a
No.
no-hitter. You're in the zone.
You go.
Keep going.
No, men first.
This is very complicated,
Oh boy.
but simple.
Let's have another drink and try.
If you look at Article 2, Section 1, Clause 2 of our U.S. federal Constitution, it specifically says that it is up to the state legislatures on how they allocate their presidential and vice presidential electors. So when Elon Musk does the mother of all Twitter files.
Come on, Elon.
And America's like disgusted from left, center to right and sees that the 2020 election was completely belligerent and nothing has changed since then. America in the collective will look
belligerent, occupying power.
Yes, Americans will look at themselves and say, this is illegitimate. How do we fix this? Nothing has changed. My solution to that is you then need to demand the one simple solution. Have our state legislatures, at least in the Republican states that are Republican majority state legislatures, vote on November 5th on how that state will allocate its electors.
Absolutely.
And guess how many Republicans control electoral votes? 274. What's the magic number? 270. Now, in the states that are controlled by Democrat legislatures, they're not going to go that path. So what do we do instead? That evidence that Elon Musk's sitting on is going to help influence those people that are going to want to volunteer to work the electoral system in the Democrat states to start to make them free, fair, and transparent under the current existing system, thus lowering the amount of fraud that takes place going into the election.
Brilliant.
Again, increasing our ability to have a free, fair, and transparent election.
Yes.
And as the Republican state legislatures are live streamed on X as they vote, on Rumble, on C-SPAN, can you imagine if the whole world is watching the rhino, the complicit, toxic, feckless rhino that also was involved in the electoral heist of 2020? Do you think that they're going to be able to vote against the Republican nominee, Republican? No, because the people will see that and they will do way more than what we did to Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger. And so it forces them to vote for the same party of which they're affiliated with. That creates 274 electoral votes at a minimum. And then when it goes to the House of Representatives, in the time from today until the vote happens here in the next few weeks, this week, the Congressman, Barry Loudermilk, who chairs the Subcommittee on Oversight for House Administration, needs to finally release what my sources tell me he's been working on, which is the following: nullifying the January 6th committee report as complete fabrication.
Absolutely, must be done.
And then Jamie Raskin has no mechanism or ability or credibility to label January 6th an insurrection.
Absolutely.
But instead, Loudermilk can then go ahead and call it best case scenario, a cover-up. Likely scenario, it was a Fedsurrection parliamentary coup exposing Raskin, the whole J6 committee, the staff director for the committee. Speaking of, you know that the staff director for Pelosi's J6 committee was David Buckley, one of the 51 spies who covered for the Biden laptop, who worked for Brennan as the inspector general at the CIA. That group of 51 is yet another category on my deep state target list.
Yeah, they've never been held to account. They just go, oh yeah, they lied and screwed up our election and everything. But, you know, whatever. They're rich, so whatever. Nobody's above the law, especially old grandmothers that walked. I mean, it's disgusting.
Why can't we go?
How many people
How come none of them are in prison for lying during an election?
Oh, you see?